All right, Ryan Garcia just shook up the world. Leading into this fight, just about everyone had something to say about Ryan Garcia's mental preparation for this fight, his physical preparation for this fight, and really whether or not this fight should even happen based on all the antics that he's been doing all over the internet as of late. And somehow, some way, Devin Haney was closing in on being a minus 1,000 favorite as recently as the morning of the fight, which is insane. And I want to make it clear right from the start that I am in no way Monday morning quarterbacking. For a while now, I think that Ryan Garcia, because he's so big on social media, has been getting kind of a bad rap as far as how good he is as a boxer. And you can look no further than my prediction videos that I made in the lead up to Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis, where I made it very clear that I think that he is one of the best punchers in the sport of boxing, specifically because I think he might have the fastest hands in the entire sport. And the speed that he has in both hands consistently translates into power. So with a lot of people predicting Ryan Garcia to get brutally knocked out by Devin Haney, who I'm pretty sure hasn't had a knockout victory in the past 5 or so years, just in all reality didn't make any sense. Now, I will say, I'm not going to lie, when I saw Ryan come in 3.2 pounds over the weight limit, it definitely gave me some pretty serious questions as far as whether or not he was even preparing for a fight of this magnitude. But if both of these guys go in the ring looking even just close to 100%, this was always going to be a competitive fight, especially when you take into account that both of these guys fought each other 6 times in the amateurs and they split those fights 3-3. So to pretend that either fighter was levels above the other was just kind of unrealistic. When speaking about their 6 amateur fights that they had against each other, the breakdown Devin gave of these fights was that essentially each fight that Ryan won, he won by swarming Devin, essentially overloading him, throwing big looping shots over and over, and eventually catching him with that left hook, which ultimately brought him the victory. And each time that Devin won, it was through Devin being the high-level boxing technician that he is and outboxing Ryan purely with skill. And pretty much to a T, that is what happened in this fight. Ryan came out swinging in the first round and landing the one shot that's on every scouting report of Ryan Garcia, the left hook. And he didn't just land it, he landed it right on the button, buckling Devin Haney. And then Ryan proceeded to put the pressure on him and came away with a pretty clear-cut victory in the first round. But from that moment forward, we saw the fight that most people predicted we would see. Devin Haney showing everyone why he was able to capture the title of undisputed champion at 135, keeping Ryan on the end of his jab, throwing an extremely high level of punch variety, mixing it up body and head, hooks, straights, uppercuts, making him very hard for Ryan to read. But by the time the 7th round came along, Ryan Garcia again with this swarming pressure, able to land that left hook and a big right hand, putting Devin Haney down and really almost putting him out. And from that point forward, it was just more of the same. Devin started trying to clinch Ryan to avoid any more punishment, but Ryan was a man on a mission, at times having absolutely no regard for what's coming back his way from Devin and just looking to get the knockout by any means necessary. And more than anything, I think what we saw in the ring was a pretty clear-cut difference in terms of punching power. All that being said, as what typically happens in the world of combat sports, the tide has kind of shifted now and people are looking at this as a dominant victory for Ryan Garcia, which in some respects it was, if you want to talk about it from the perspective of damage inflicted. But when you look at this one round by round, this actually was a pretty close fight. I know Chris Mannix, when he showed his live scorecard on the screen during the broadcast, had it as a draw at the end of the last round. And look, I don't necessarily think you can make a good argument as to why Devin won, but there is a case to be made for a draw, although given the gravity of the situation and given some of the kind of iffy moments going on with the referee, taking a point away from Ryan for throwing a punch out of the clinch without even giving Ryan a warning, and some of Devin's pretty obvious punches to essentially the spine right in front of the referee, getting multiple warnings without getting a point taken away. I think all in all, it's hard to come away with this from this fight with any feeling other than that Ryan is the victor. That being said, I still believe that Devin Haney put on a great showing for himself. I think that people a lot of times make that comparison between Devin Haney and Floyd Mayweather. Devin is just not the defensive magician that Floyd was. But I think what Devin has that makes him great is a level of grit and determination that is really hard to find in the world of boxing these days, especially with some of these younger guys. Through all the knockdowns in this fight, and those were some bad knockdowns, never, not a single time did Devin look like he was looking for a way out. And while yes, it did turn into a little bit of a clinch fest near the end of this fight, Devin looked determined to try to salvage a victory from this, even when it was clearly going the complete and total wrong way for him. And then also, shout out to Devin Haney in the post-fight interview, not only giving Ryan Garcia his flowers for what was the best performance of his career, but also not making a single excuse when Ryan Garcia missed weight and came in, and at the very least on camera, it looked like he was clearly the bigger fighter. And in a sport where, you know, certain fighters are famous for throwing out rehydration clauses, Devin still signed up to fight someone who missed weight, who was pretty obviously the bigger fighter in the ring, and also was always the bigger puncher. And one other thing that I think we have to point out about this is a lot of people gave Ryan a hard time about the whole rehydration clause, because at the end of the day, when he fought Tank, he did sign up for the rehydration clause. But now with it coming out that Ryan was having a hard time making 140, and then you think not that long ago, he made 135 with the rehydration clause, so he couldn't get fully hydrated, and he still stepped in to fight one of the biggest punchers in the sport right now in Gervonta Davis. You got to think, this guy is maybe the most game fighter that exists in boxing right now, taking on the biggest challenges one after another. So what's next? This was game 7, right? This was supposed to be the big moment where we get to find out who really is the better fighter between the two. I think what we come away from this with is that Ryan is the bigger puncher who on any given night can beat Devin. Devin is the more technically proficient boxer who on any given night can outpoint Ryan. I'm not mad at a rematch. Either at 140 again, and maybe if Ryan's able to actually make the weight, a big selling point can be that the belt is actually on the line this time, or at 147. Both these guys get to step in being very well hydrated, and we get the best out of both of them. With all the talk about Ryan being completely and totally out of his mind, the one thing I think we can all agree on is that last night, Ryan fought out of his mind and put on a performance that is going to guarantee him a high level of stardom in the sport of boxing for years to come. So there you have it, one of the most anticipated fights of the year, which more than delivered. Let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of this fight? And yeah, thanks for watching.